Good, yeah.
After the proclamation,
And you don't see it.
Oh, I know. Pretty hard.
yeah, we'll give you a warning, we're leaving.
If I wait till after, you're always gone.
So after the proclamation, we may be leaving.
Oh, no.
I'm gonna tell you something.
That's fine. Thank you for telling me. Well, I mean, it's very, very short. It is, it's very short. No, we're gonna go with that. No, not buying property whatsoever.
It's the west. No.
Yes. Hey, I'm glad to stop.
No problem.
I don't understand it.
I just saw this.
I was there for the day, but not when they were there. And then I kept thinking,
Maybe next time.
I kept thinking, the 13th. And
Yeah,
and then 13th.
I don't know.
And it's like, I missed it.
Some of the boxes are.
No problem, we appreciate it.
Cities.
Yeah. Am I good?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We talked about that. Okay.
I know, it's same reaction.
Yeah, and you have to read all of it, and then it's not.
Yeah, it's like
layman's terms.
Right.
All you have to say is, this is not a new purchase. But if you have comments about it.
Okay.
I was just curious.
I think I'm going to take care of it.
It says it here.
Yeah.
We're doing what?
This her last.
The June 17th, 2019 City of Vandalia Council meeting will now come to order. We'll begin with a moment of reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Thank you very much. Will you please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council, you've had the opportunity to review the council study session minutes of May the 20th and also the council meeting minutes of May the 20th. Are there any comments or revisions to be made with those? Seeing none, they'll stand as approved. We do have a proclamation this evening, and I'd like to invite Mr. Dranchek. Joel, you want to come up? Invite Al up also.
Yeah.
Al, come on up. You're part of this too. Well, we are proclaiming this week Pollinator Week in the city of Vandalia. And of course, we're inviting all of our citizens to recognize the importance of pollinators. And I know that both of you have worked so hard making us a bee city, that's number one, which needs the pollinators. And Joe, I know that at least last year and this year, you have been selling packets of seeds, and those are seeds that are pollinator plants. And some of us don't really know the difference. We go to a store and we see this real pretty plant and we say, I'll take that. And we don't understand sometimes that there are some differences in the kinds of plants that are needed for the longevity of our bee population and also other inhabitants and so forth. So, with that, here is the proclamation. I'm not going to read it, but this week is Pollinator Week in the city of Vandalia. So I think that's the important thing. But I think it's more important, and I know you have some papers here, that you go ahead and do some explanation.
Yeah,
Here, do you want to use the mic?
we've been involved with the program. This is, I think, the fourth year that we actually we spent a year just researching it. But we continue to get information out with the community. We are part of the Wednesday Seeger program that the Anthony Trissell Memorial Fund. The Wednesday night they're doing. We haven't had a good Wednesday yet, and I don't know if this week's going to be any different. But
You're talking about when Wednesday when it rains.
when it
Yeah,
rains.
yeah. Okay.
And but that is one event that we're just trying to have. Al has the honey over there, and then we have information on the Bee City USA, and we also have the seeds. And the seeds we got, they came in 10. Well, the packages actually were like about $15 to $20 if you were ordering them on your own for one individual. But Al fronted the money, and we put up. We ordered like 30 packages, and we've been selling them. Some of the members took the packages and put them into $1 packets instead of 10.
Oh.
So we've been doing that at most of the events that we have. We still are working on a couple pollinator areas that would be on the Historical Society side of the Rotary Bridge at the Art Park. But with the rain this year, we haven't done anything with that yet, but it's on the to-do list. And then we do have a program, which this fits in nicely. We have a program on Wednesday also on the 19th with the Wright Pat Air Force Base. They became the first program from a military installation in the Bee City USA, and this is the third year, but they've been promoting a pollinator expo. And last year they had probably about 30 different groups there, and so we're going to participate in that. So we just continue to grow.
Great. And I know that we here in the city also have areas that we are doing the pollinators and so forth. And I think one of them, Candace, you might want to chime in here. One of them is at the Art Park. Is that not true? I think it is. Yeah. Yeah. And our other areas too. But I was saying that because it's so closely connected with the Historical Society.
Yeah, Rudy's been our primary contact, Rudy Wells, and he's been really good to work with.
Great. Well, thank you both so very much. Thank you, Al. And Al, if you're watching here and everything, Al is our beekeeper. Yeah. And if you haven't had any of his honey, you're missing something because it distinctly is a little bit different than just going and grabbing it off the shelf. So thank you so very much. Do you want to take this? Yeah. And
thank you.
And I also want to thank the members of the Historical Society for coming in support of this venture then too. So thank you very much for being here this evening. We have no public hearing, and that brings us to comments from interested citizens. So if there's anyone who would like to make comment to us, Would you please come to the podium, state your name and address for our records, and then your comment? Seeing none, we'll continue on with the city manager's report. Mr. Cruzy, Star Spangled Celebration.
Well, thank you, Your Honor. Again, so the City of Vandalia and Butler Township are once again presenting the Star Spangled Celebration. This year will be on Wednesday, July 3rd, beginning at 7 p.m. This year, the event is being sponsored by Fifth Third Bank, Bo Townsend Ford, Lincoln, and Nissan, Joseph Airport Toyota, Scion, and Hyundai, and Smedley Chevrolet, with additional support from Digital Cowboy Computers and Pickrell, Schaefer, and Ebling attorneys. Entertainment will be provided by the Tyler Cochran Trio. Fireworks will start at 10 p.m., and in the case of rain, the fireworks will be held on Friday, July 5th, with fireworks only, no entertainment.
Okay, great. Thank you. What about the city offices being closed?
Okay, well, in observance of the July 4th Independence Day holiday, city offices will be closed on July 4. However, the Recreation Center will be open from 7 a.m. to noon, that being the fitness area, the track, and the gymnasium only.
Okay, thank you. And our summer schedule here for our council meetings.
Correct. With council being in summer session, they only meet the third Monday of the month in June, July, and August. So council's next meeting is going to be Monday, July 15th at 7 p.m., with their workshop beginning at 6 p.m.
Okay, thank you so very much. On to our action items. We have one for the boards and commissions, terms expiring. Mr. Cruzy?
Thank you, Your Honor. So council is being asked to consider the reappointment of current board and commission members whose terms expire June 30 of this year and who have requested to be reappointed to their current board or commission.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Your Honor, I move that we approve the list of current members and terms that are expiring.
Second.
It's been moved by Vice Mayor Herbst, second by Councilwoman Farce, that we do approve the listing of boards and commission members whose terms are expiring but who have decided that they would like to continue on. Are there any questions or comments? I would just like to make one, and that is we really do appreciate everybody that does step forward, because these positions are, I think they're fun and exciting for some of the things that you do, but they're also, for some people, time-consuming, which means that they might have to take an evening out of their busy schedules for a meeting. So we do appreciate it, and we certainly do welcome other people who would like to step forward and make application for the boards and commissions that we have vacancies on. Anybody else? Would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Councilmember Gerhard?
Yeah.
Councilmember Farce?
Yes.
Councilmember Ehlers?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Herbst?
Yes.
Mayor Setzer?
Yes, and the motion carries 6-0. We have no old business, and that brings us to our first resolution of the evening, and that's Resolution 19-R-32. Mr. McDonald, by title only.
A resolution to enter into an agreement for stop-loss coverage with Fidelity Security EBU.
Thank you. Mr. Cruzy.
Thank you, Your Honor. This resolution does authorize an agreement with Fidelity Security for stop-loss coverage related to the city's self-insured health insurance coverage. The city's plan year runs from July 1 to June 30 each year. Our specific deductible for covered life will remain at $50,000. The city's total maximum cost under this agreement is estimated to increase 13.8%. Fixed administrative cost will increase 7.9%, while our variable claims costs could increase up to 15.5%. We just need to remember that because we are self-insured, the proposed increase in our variable claim costs may not be realized because our costs are directly related to our actual claims. The only proposed change in coverage is related to hearing aids. Our current plan provides a $500 lifetime maximum benefit for hearing aids. The proposed change would cover hearing aids at 80% with the deductible waived up to a maximum $1,400 per impaired ear every 3 years. However, the high deductible health plan, and that would cover hearing aids at 100% after you've met your deductible every 3 years.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve Resolution 19-R32.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Ehlers, second by Councilman Blakesley, that we do approve Resolution 19-R-32. Are there any comments? Would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Gerhard?
Yes.
Councilmember Farce?
Yes.
Councilmember Ehlers?
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Herbst?
Yes.
Mayor Setzer?
Yes, and the motion carries 6-0. We have an ordinance in its first reading, and that's ordinance 19-09. Mr. McDonald?
Your Honor, every time we have these bond things, I just remember back to the days where we had to read the entire ordinance in full. And and for everybody out there, I did not write these titles, so I apologize in advance. Ordinance 1909, an ordinance providing for the issuance and sale of notes in the maximum principal amount of $1,399,000 in anticipation of the issuance of bonds for the purpose of acquiring approximately 201 acres of real property bounded generally by U.S. Route 40, Peters Pike, Stone Quarry Road, and Dog Lake Road in support of economic development and job creation within the city and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mr. Cruzy?
Thank you, Your Honor. Back in 2005-2006, the city acquired about 201 acres of land for the development of Stone Quarry crossings. At that time, the city issued bond anticipation notes for the acquisition of that site. And so annually, because they're notes and not bonds, annually the city has to pay off and then refinance those loans. So that's what this ordinance does tonight. So again, the notes were really originally issued back in 2006. They're renewed annually. We are not acquiring additional land. So the total amount currently due is $1,399,000 plus interest of $48,828. Again, generally in the past, when we've sold land in Stone Quarry Crossings, we've used the proceeds from those sales to buy down the principal balance of these notes. However, in 2018, we did not sell any land in Stone Quarry Crossings, so there is no money going toward the principal of those notes at this time. The notes are due to mature on August 6th of 2020. This ordinance will be voted on as an emergency at Council's July 15th meeting.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve ordinance 19-09 as read.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Blakesley, second by Councilwoman Farce, that we do approve ordinance in its first reading of 19-09. Are there any comments?
Despite the,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just want to reiterate, we are not purchasing any new property. That's correct, obviously. But I also wanted to confirm that the proceeds of all the land that we've been selling has been going directly to pay down the debt. So I think we are doing a good job with that.
Correct. Since I've been here, we've been using the proceeds to pay down the debt. I don't know how that was handled prior to 2014. Wasn't okay? And Bridget's saying that's the way it's always been.
Right.
As land is sold, it's been put towards the principal balance.
Right.
I was just going to echo the same thing, and I appreciate the clarification because I think sometimes it is confusing because the word reissuance is not there. So I think there's a confusion that we are buying, we are not. This is refinancing, basically.
Yeah. And I think, too, when this is read, it's, I think sometimes people just sort of read some of the words and not all the words. But when you say the purpose of acquiring approximately, and then it goes on from there, you immediately conjure up the fact that, oh my, they're buying land and nobody knows about it. This land was purchased in what year? 2005 or 6. So we're not buying land. And because we have been very successful in those parcels that we have sold, we've been able to lower our debt. Mm-hmm. But as we know, we have to refinance this because that's what we have to do.
Yeah,
the notes.
1-year notes.
The 1-year notes. So I hope that clarifies anything and everything about this particular ordinance. So if there is no further comment, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Farst?
Yes.
Councilmember Ehlers?
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Councilmember Gerhard?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Herbst?
Yes.
Mayor Setzer?
Yes, and the motion carries 6-0. Ordinance 19-10. Mr. McDonald?
An ordinance providing for the issuance and sale of notes in the maximum principal amount of $1,625,000 in anticipation of the issuance of bonds for the purpose of paying the cost of refunding bonds originally issued by the city for the purpose of paying cost of A, improving the municipal complex by constructing, equipping, and improving a justice center to house the courts and the police department and related activities, renovating, equipping, and improving the municipal building, constructing related parking facilities, and acquiring real property in interest therein in connection therewith, altogether with the necessary appurtenances thereto. And B, constructing, equipping, and furnishing a municipal community recreation center, including a gymnasium, swimming pool, track, fitness area, lockers, offices, and other recreational and related support facilities, altogether with the necessary appurtenances thereto, and acquiring real property and interest therein in connection therewith, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you very much. Mr. Cruzy.
Thank you, Your Honor. So just like the previous legislation, again, these bond anticipation notes are related to the 1996 bonds that were issued for the Recreation Center, Justice Center, and Municipal Building. We are not building a new rec center, building a new Justice Center, or renovating the municipal building. The notes are scheduled to be retired in 2021, which is when the original bonds would have been retired. The total amount due is $2,442,000 in principal, plus $67,155 in interest. The 2019 budget did appropriate $817,000 towards the principal plus the interest. Therefore, the remaining principal balance on the notes is going to be $1,625,000. The reissuance of these notes have been combined with the reissuance of the fire truck notes to save on issuance cost. This ordinance will be voted on as an emergency at Council's July 15th meeting.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the ordinance 19-10 as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilwoman Farr, second by Councilman Blakesley, that we do approve the ordinance 19-10 in its first reading. Are there any comments or questions?
Well, in case you missed it, I just want to reiterate, this is nothing new. We're not purchasing anything new. This is all old.
Anybody else?
Well, the nice thing about this, when I see 2021, even though that's a couple years away, it feels good to know that those are going to roll off, that debt rolls off, similar to paying off a mortgage. And so that we'll have that money free now that we would have made those payments with to reinvest into additional capital items that we're looking for in the future. So again, we can keep the budget where it needs to be. I think that's great.
Anybody else? Thank you very much. Would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Ehlers?
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Councilmember Gerhardt?
Yeah.
Councilmember Farce?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Herbst?
Yes.
Mayor Setzer?
Yes, and the motion carries 6-0. Resolution 19-11, Mr. McDonald.
An ordinance providing for the issuance and sale of notes in the maximum principal amount of $336,000 in anticipation of the issuance of bonds for the purposes of paying the cost of acquiring a fire apparatus, together with all related appurtenances thereto, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you very much. Mr. Cruzy.
Thank you, Your Honor. Again, so these bond anticipation notes are related to the 2016 purchase of a new rescue engine, and they're set to expire September 4th. The principal amount due is $384,000. The 2018 budget includes $48,000 toward principal and $10,530 in interest. This ordinance will be voted on as an emergency at Council's July 15 meeting.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve ordinance 19-11.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Ehlers, second by Councilman Blakesley, that we do approve ordinance 19-11 as presented. Are there any comments?
For the record, I would like to reiterate that this is 2016 expenses. This is, again, nothing new.
Anyone else? Would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Councilmember Gerhardt?
Yeah.
Councilmember Farce?
Yes.
Councilmember Ehlers?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Herbst?
Yes.
Mayor Setzer?
Yes, and the motion carries 6-0. We have no ordinances in their second reading, nor do we have any emergency ordinances, and that brings us to reports from boards and commissions with a variance at 75 East Stone Quarry Road. Mr. Cruzy.
Thank you, Your Honor. So the applicant is requesting a variance to allow a 160 square foot shed in the front yard, where a shed is only permitted in the rear yard. The property in question is a corner lot, so while the shed is located behind the house, it is technically located in the front yard. The applicant indicates that there are unique physical circumstances, such as size, shape, and topography, that make the placing of a shed in the rear yard extremely difficult without major grade changes and tree removal. The BZA reviewed this request at its May 8th meeting. They voted 4-0 to recommend approval.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the variance at 75 East Stone Quarry Road.
Second?
It's been moved by Councilwoman Forrest, second by Councilman Blakesley, that we do approve the variance at 75 East Stone Quarry Road. I know the applicant is here, and it sounds like this is sitting right in the front yard, but it's really, you cannot see it whatsoever because of the sloping of the yard and so forth. So as you drive past, you would never be able to see, and I drive past it, and I couldn't even see the rooftop of it. So even though it's defined as the front yard, in this instance, it really, I wouldn't consider it a front yard, but it is because of the way in which everything is laid out. So are there any other comments about this?
I would add that, we seldom approve variances, but I think this is a good example of how the variance process works and how it is common sense and makes sense for everyone.
Anyone else? Would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Gerhardt,
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst,
Yes.
Councilmember Ehlers,
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Herbst,
Yes.
Mayor Setzer.
Yes, and the motion carries 6-0. We have a conditional use at 6344 Webster Street. Mr. Cruzy?
Thank you, Your Honor. So Van Martin Windows and Roofing is requesting conditional use approval for a contractor equipment storage yard in the industrial zoning district at 6344 Webster Street. The site is currently vacant, and the proposed use is for construction, management, sheet metal fabrication, and contracting. At their meeting on May 14th, the Planning Commission voted 3-0 to recommend approval, subject to the following conditions. 1, that the parking lot be repaved and restriped, and 2, that the conditional use shall expire if building permits have not issued within 6 months of approval, or if the conditional use has ceased by discontinuance or abandonment for a period of more than 6 months.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the conditional use on 6344 Webster Street with conditions of mentioned by the zoning board.
Second?
It's been moved by Councilman Ehlers, second by Councilman Blakesley, that we do approve the conditional use as presented at 6344 Webster Street. Any comments? I have a question, and I don't know if you know this or not. Was their site damaged at all with the tornado?
I don't believe so. I think they're south of where most of the
Where it
damage
was
happened.
hit?
Yeah, or north.
I was-
They were not, just a little bit? Okay, slightly.
But not completely?
Correct.
Great. Thank you. Anyone else? Would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Fairst,
Yes.
Councilmember Ehlers,
Yeah.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Councilmember Gerhardt,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Herbst,
Yes.
Mayor Setzer.
Yes, and the motion carries 6-0. The bill listing for May is in the amount of $3,628,199.35. And that brings us to council comments, starting with Mr. McDonald.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Mr. Cruzy?
Yeah, Your Honor, just, related to the tornado that occurred in Vandalia on Memorial Weekend, Memorial Day, I know we've gotten a lot of positive comments, but I need to make sure we publicly thank many of our departments and many of our employees for all of their work. And I guess specifically we're talking about police, fire, public works. I'll say DES, which is Development Engineering Services, our building officials. Most of those folks, police and fire obviously responded immediately. I got the call. I was here, 12:30, 1:45. By 1:30, the EOC was fully staffed. Public Works, Fire, Police worked all night, clearing roads, doing checks on homes to make sure folks were safe, evacuating buildings when necessary. And then it's continued since then. They've been very diligent working with the owners of the homes and businesses Number one, to get them back in their homes as quickly as possible, but to make sure it's done safely, to make sure everything gets cleaned up. And we'll be doing that, I'm guessing, throughout the summer. As many of these buildings get renovated, our crews will be back out, making sure the roads are clear and the debris is removed. But again, it's you know, and the damage of Vandalia suffered compared to most of the surrounding communities is not nearly as bad, but we've been fairly self-sufficient, been able to take care of most of this stuff on our own. So again, a big a lot of, I'm trying to think here, positive comments about our employees and our departments and all the hard work they put into this since the tornado.
That it? That's it. Okay. Councilman Blakesley.
I would like to echo what Mr. Cruzy had said, that we received so many comments about our staff and the professionalism and the organizational skills, the response to all the storm damage, and how quick they were to start assessing damage and help businesses. And I know that they were going back out later this week to help businesses with any further damage reports. And I just think it's such a well-oiled machine, and fortunately, we are fortunate to have such a staff that also looks ahead and has the fortitude to practice some of these disasters that we've had. You know, I wouldn't say have had, but since the one, we've practiced the airport crash airplane. I think we've practiced the storm a couple times and had set up this EOCs. And so I think it's through that practice that we see this well-oiled machine work. And it just does my heart good to see that, you know, what we've done, and also how the community has come together on this whole thing, where, you know, you may have had neighbors that didn't care for each other, but suddenly now they're helping each other. And I think that's one of the greatest things, that how the community comes together to help each other. So if there's any good that came out of it, I think it's that. Additionally, while I'm on that, about city staff and thanking them, recently we had a German visit through the sister cities of Vandalia, and I'd like to publicly thank all the staff that provide the assistance, such as the police division, the fire division, Parks and Rec, and Rich Hopkins. We did a scavenger hunt, and we did a tour at the PD. They got to do handcuffs, get pictures, and then at our dinner at the end of the week, we put wanted posters on the wall, and they got to take those home. Fire division, they got a tour. Parks and Rec, they got to see the things, all the amenities that we have here in the city. And also to the mayor for an impromptu welcome when we brought him through. And then also to Councilmember Forrest for providing staff, and to the Historical Society for opening up the Art Park and Historical Society. Part of the purpose of Sister Cities is a cultural exchange, and one of the things I found out when I brought people through is that, you know, you think of your own little world, and then when you see it through the eyes of others in another country, and you get a different perspective. And it was just really, really felt good to be able to exchange that culture and show them the amenities that we have. We had 6 people that were new to our area as part of a regular visit. There were 3 regulars that have come before, but even those, the regulars said this was the best visit we had. So again, to thank the staff of all that was involved. Thank you.
Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you. Councilwoman Forrest?
Well, to again thank staff for all the effort they put in. I guess we always know that they do a great job, and it's nice that they have that ability for the community to see how invested they are in our town. Also want to remind you that they are doing a Summerfest at Cedar Park every Wednesday night throughout the summer. It's 5 to 7. It's through the Anthony Trissell Foundation Fund. They'll have music and various vendors there. So come out and support your community. It's a really nice time to enjoy something in one of our small parks. Also, Tyler Cochran Band or Trio that's playing at the 4th of July celebration is a hometown boy. Graduated from Butler, so come out and make sure you take the time to come out and listen to them also. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Ehlers.
I'd just like to mention one thing as echoed from the others. I've heard the term well-oiled machine, and we've got an experienced staff on our group up here, employees up at the City of Vandalia. But I also want to mention, when you've got that many people coming together, ready to go to work, if you don't have leadership, it's chaos. And so I'd like to thank John on his efforts in leading, and it stems from the top, leading the organization. I think it was a job well done by himself and his staff. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Gerhardt.
I don't have anything new, but obviously I'm very impressed with how the city responded to the area. It was totally unbelievable, the destruction all around, and just blessed that we're okay and that we have a great city that took care of its residents. That would be it.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Herbst.
To keep it short, I will say essentially the same thing. Thank you to staff and how you handled everything. I think it was handled very professionally and well done. I would like to move that we excuse Councilman Lewis from all of tonight's meetings.
Second?
It's been moved by Councilman Herbst, Vice Mayor Herbst, second by Councilman Gerhardt.
Blakesley.
Blakely? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I heard, but I didn't hear. That we excuse Councilman Lewis from all of the meetings this evening. Any comments? Would you call the roll?
Councilmember Ehlers?
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Councilmember Gerhardt?
Yeah.
Councilmember Fairst?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Herbst?
Yes.
Mayor Setzer?
Yes, and the motion carries 6-0. Of course, I would also like to echo what everybody else has said. I'm not going to say it repeatedly. But one of the things that happened was my phones were going off, and it was because of, during the threat of the tornado, and it was because of our hyper reach that we have here in the city of or for our residents here in the city of Vandalia. And lo and behold, even my neighbors did not know about hyper reach. And it's so easy. I'm going to ask Mr. Cruzy to go ahead and explain what it is, how it works, and how people can get onto it, because that was, I think, a little bit even more important, because I knew that it was for this area and not just a general area. Certainly the news was great, but to have that come in on my line, I knew that, wow, this is really, really close. So would you mind?
Yeah, well, HyperReach is a mass notification system. We can use it several ways. We can either use it to send out a notification citywide to anybody that has registered their phone number, or we can pick out specific areas. You know, if we have a construction project going on in a certain area, we can delineate certain streets to send notifications to. The important thing is, well, I guess we pick up every landline is put in our system. But if you don't have a home phone, or you want your cell phone registered, you need to get online at vandaliaohio.org and register your cell phone number through HyperReach on the city's website. Again, we've got all the landline numbers; those automatically come into our system. But if you don't have a landline, or you also want to have your mobile phone registered, then you need to get onto our website and register it through the HyperReach link.
Yeah. And just to follow up just a little bit, I have a landline, but I also signed up for myself, so I was getting the call on both, and it was reassuring to know that that was definitely for us, right here.
Yeah, and through your mobile phone, you can get text messages as well.
Right. Also, there's something that I think that we need to sort of bring up once again, and that is, and I'm sure you've heard that, you know, when we have a disaster of any kind, we have people coming in that are not legit and wanting to do work and so forth for you. And that brings me to the point where it doesn't make any difference if we've had a disaster, but we should all be on the lookout and be very much aware of what's going on in our neighborhoods. And that being that if somebody comes to your door and wants to do some work for you and you have not actually called them, that you need to ask them if they, and you can see, because they'll get a what do they call it? A badge from the city to indicate that, yes, the city knows that they are going door to door. And that's not saying that the city is recommending them or anything else. It's just for our protection of knowing who is in our neighborhood. So if somebody comes to your door uninvited, without a notification from the city, call the police. If you see someone walking in your area that, oh, this person doesn't really live here or something, and they make a habit of it, call the police. Our police department is just phenomenal. And that's the only way in which they can really help us, and that is if they are called. And they don't get upset because they need that kind of information. So please, if you see anything going on in your neighborhood, somebody comes to your door uninvited and so forth, all it does is take a phone call to the police department. And I've done it several times because of people not wearing or having their badges and so forth. And they'll be asked, do you want us to call you back with the results? And you can say no, or you can say yes. And you can leave an anonymous. I mean, you don't have to identify yourself necessarily, but you do have to identify the circumstance and where that circumstance is going on. So just kind of like a little hint. I know we hear it all the time, and sometimes we get a little lazy in knowing that our police department is there for us 24/7, 365 days a year. And so we're not a bother. Okay, we have an executive session, and it is recommended that council adjourn to executive session to discuss and to consider the possible sale of real property, and to discuss and consider the employment, discipline, promotion, or compensation of a public employee, more specifically, matters relating to the performance evaluation of the city manager. Do I have a motion for that, to adjourn to?
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Blakesley, second by Vice Mayor Herbst, that we go into executive session. Would you call the roll?
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Councilmember Gerhardt,
Yeah.
Councilmember Fairst,
Yes.
Councilmember Ehlers,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Herbst,
Yes.
Mayor Setzer.
Yes, and the motion carries. We will go into executive session, and then we will reconvene to this meeting for adjournment. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. Prior to our meetings, we always have a study session at 6 o'clock, and there were, 2 items on our agenda for the study session that we did not get complete, so we will complete those first and then go into executive session. So if there's anyone here who would like to return to us for those 2 items on our agenda, please feel free to do so. Thank you.